Listen up, everyone, because we are looking at an absolute masterclass in how the game is rigged against you. And if you think this does not impact your bank account, you are living in a dream world. On the morning of May 19th, 2026, we have proof that the man in the Oval Office is treating the federal government like his own personal brokerage firm. We are talking about hundreds of millions of dollars in trades in just the first 3 months of this year. And let me tell you, when you see the names Nvidia, Palantir, Boeing, and Tesla all popping up in a presidential disclosure form, you need to ask yourself if you are playing the same game. I spent years watching these guys operate, and it never changes. Whether it is the congressional insiders or the folks at the top, they are always front, running the public. You see, back when I was first starting out, I thought I could trade alongside the big fish, but that is a sucker-s bet. I remember sitting at my desk looking at my meager savings and wondering why I could never get ahead. It was because the deck is stacked. Let us talk about the math, because this is where the truth hurts. If you have $10,000 and you get a 2% annual return, you are fighting a losing battle against inflation, especially when energy costs are spiking because of these geopolitical headaches. But if you take that same $10,000 and you put it into a low-cost broad market index fund like VU, with a solid 8% average annual return, and you add just $500 every single month in 30 years, you are sitting on over $750,000. That is the power of compounding, and it does not require you to know what President Trump is buying in his secret accounts. You do not need to be a genius to build wealth. You just need to be patient, disciplined, and smart enough to realize that the noise on social media is there to distract you. Think about the absurdity of these disclosures. They are buying stocks and companies while simultaneously negotiating multi-billion-dollar contracts for those same companies. It is so brazen, it is so in your face. And yet, most people are too busy scrolling through their feeds to notice I keep my life simple. I drive a 2018 Toyota Camry, I do not buy fancy watches, and I certainly do not chase the latest meme coin that some talking head on a podcast is pumping. Why? Because those people are playing a different game. They are using their influence to generate volume for their own exits. When you see a story about a podcasting deal being offered to the wife of an administration official right as her husband's department is reviewing a $110 billion merger, that is not a business deal. That is a bribe. It is the purest form of corruption, and it happens right under your nose. So what should you do? First, get your head out of the sand. Stop paying attention to the golden ballrooms and the alien sightings, and start paying attention to your own balance sheet. If you have 6 months of living expenses in a high-yield savings account, that is your armor. Keep it there. Do not be tempted to throw your emergency fund into the market because you think you found a hot tip. The market is currently a house of cards held up by liquidity and political favors. If the music stops, you want to be the one with cash, not the one with a margin call. I have seen too many friends lose everything because they were over-leveraged. They had 50 times PE tech stocks. They had crypto portfolios that were basically glorified slot machines. And when the volatility hit, they were forced to sell at the bottom. Do not be that guy. You have to be the guy who buys when everyone else is puking. You have to be the guy who is liquid when the opportunities present themselves. The reality is that the US economy is facing massive structural risks, from supply chain failures to energy price shocks, and if you are not prepared, you are going to get run over. Look at the way these politicians are acting. They are acting like it is a joyride, snorkeling at national monuments, filming reality shows while the airports are falling apart. It is disgusting. It shows a complete lack of respect for the office and for you, the taxpayer. But instead of getting angry, use that energy to focus on your own production. You are the ultimate asset. Your labor, your skills, and your ability to save are the only things that you truly control. If you can save 20% of your income, you are winning. If you can invest that money consistently into productive assets, you are building a future. The rest of this stuff, the scandals, the drama, it is just noise. And if you let it dictate your emotional state, you are losing. I will be here every single day to break down the reality of what is happening, because someone has to tell you the truth. Someone has to show you the math. And someone has to tell you to put the phone down, save your money, and get back to work. Because at the end of the day, your success depends on your habits, not on what a politician is doing with their portfolio. Stay sharp, stay liquid, and keep your eye on the prize. Because the long-term wealth is built in the boring moments, not in the scandals. So keep grinding, keep saving, and let us win this game together. We are not here to get rich overnight. We are here to ensure we are still standing when the dust settles. Hit the like button if you want more of this real talk. Subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below with your current saving strategy. Are you stacking cash? Are you staying disciplined? Tell me what you are doing. I read every comment, and I will be back tomorrow with the latest updates as they break. Stay safe, keep your powder dry, and do not let the fear turn you into a paper-handed mess. We are in for a long summer, and only the prepared are going to survive the volatility. I have seen this movie before, and the ending is never good for the people who are over-leveraged. You have been warned. The clock is ticking on these shady deals, and it is also ticking on your portfolio. If you are not positioned for a shock, keep the focus on long-term growth, but acknowledge the short-term reality. You need cash, you need discipline, and you need a thick skin. Let us get after it, and let me break down the math for you. Because most people are absolute disasters when it comes to compounding. Let's say you are 30 years old and you have $10,000 sitting in a high-yield savings account earning 5%, while your friend decides to dump that same $10,000 into a high-risk meme coin that drops 50% overnight. If you play it smart, and you continue to add $500 every single month into a diversified portfolio, like VO, with an average annual return of 8%. In 30 years, you will have roughly $750,000 if you start with that same $10,000, but you wait 10 years to start because you were too busy trying to time the market or chasing headlines about political drama. You end up with less than $350,000. That is a $400,000 difference. That is the cost of your indecision. That is the cost of not being disciplined. And honestly, that is the cost of listening to the wrong people while the world is arguing about whether or not we should care about these stock disclosures. I am looking at my Vanguard statements. I am looking at my cash allocation. And I am looking at how I can tighten up my budget to survive a potential energy shock. I stopped buying those $6 artisanal coffees 3 years ago. I drive a 2018 Toyota Camry that has 90,000 miles on it, and it runs like a dream. Why would I trade that in for a new car and an $800 monthly payment when the world is on fire? It makes zero sense. You need to stop focusing on consumption and start focusing on production. You are the asset, your labor is the asset, and your ability to save is the greatest weapon you have against this geopolitical and political nonsense. I see people on Instagram posting their vacation photos while the markets are being turned into a playground for the elites. It is pure insanity. Your financial future is not guaranteed by the strength of the US dollar or the stability of the political landscape. It is guaranteed by your savings rate. And if you are not saving at least 20% of your income right now, you are in danger. I do not care if you think inflation is transitory or if you think the Fed has it under control. The data is the data, and the data says that we are in a period of extreme fragility. I am talking about supply chain disruptions. I am talking about energy price hikes. I am talking about market volatility. You need to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. That is not pessimism. That is just basic risk management. If you have $1,000 in your emergency fund, that is not enough. You need 6 months of expenses at least. And I suggest you keep that in a high-yield savings account or treasury bills. Do not put your emergency fund in the stock market, because if the market crashes at the same time you lose your job, you are finished. I have seen it happen. I have seen good people lose everything because they were too greedy. Do not be that guy. Be the guy who has 6 months of cash, no high-interest debt, and a long-term plan that does not depend on the next presidential tweet. I see the reports of all these transactions and it all sounds like noise to me. They are playing a game of chicken, and the market is the one that gets hit by the debris. So what do? You stay the course, you keep buying your VU, you keep your cash high, and you ignore the pundits who are screaming about the end of the world. Because the world has been ending since I was born and the stock market has still gone up, but you have to be able to survive the volatility to get the long-term gains. So if you are worried about the political situation, that is good. That means you have a brain, but do not let that worry turn into inaction. Make a plan, stick to the plan, and stop over. Leveraging your life. This is not just about finance, this is about freedom, and you cannot be free if you are a slave to your own bad decisions. So let us get back to the basics: save, invest, wait, repeat. That is the only formula that has ever worked, and if you think there is a shortcut, you are going to be disappointed. I have spent the last decade reading every major economic report, and I have come to the conclusion that nobody knows anything for sure, so why would you bet your life savings on someone else's opinion? You should be betting on yourself. You should be betting on your ability to work, your ability to save, and your ability to stay calm. When everyone else is losing their minds, the situation in Washington and the global markets is bad. It is dangerous, and it is potentially expensive, but it is not a reason to abandon your strategy. It is a reason to double down on your discipline. So go home, look at your budget, cut the waste, and start saving. Because if things go south, the only person who is going to bail you out is you, and you better be ready, because the market does not care about your feelings. And it certainly does not care about the geopolitical news cycle. It only cares about the math. So start doing the math, stop buying things to impress people you do not like, and start building the life that you deserve. I will be here every single day to give you the reality check that you need, and we will get through this volatility together. Stay sharp, stay liquid, and keep your head in the game, because this is just the beginning of a very complicated year. And if you are still listening, you are already ahead of 90% of the population. So keep pushing, keep building, and never let the fear dictate your moves, because you are in control. At least you should be. And that is all that really matters. I have been analyzing these charts for hours, and the trend is clear. Volatility is rising, and the only way to beat it is to have a long-term perspective. So stay focused on the 30-year horizon, not the 30-minute news cycle, and you will be just fine. I promise. Let us keep going. There is so much more to talk about, but for now, just focus on your foundation. And remember that I am on your side. So reach out in the comments, ask me anything, and let us keep the conversation going. Because together we are stronger, and together we will survive whatever comes next. This is DD07 signing off, and I will be back later today with another update. Stay safe, keep your powder dry, and do not let the fear turn you into a paper-handed mess. Keep grinding, keep saving, and let's win this game together. We have come this far, and we are not stopping.